Hamas has called for the immediate liquidation of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the aid distribution body jointly managed by Israel and the United States. In a statement posted to its official Telegram channel, Hamas accused what it called Zionist American forces of carrying out systemic killings near aid distribution points. The group claimed the GHF plays a criminal role in the siege, starvation, and deaths of Palestinians, and demanded urgent international actions to dismantle the foundation and hold its creators accountable. Hamas also called on the Arab world and global community to intervene. No international humanitarian aid has entered the Gaza Strip since March 2nd of this year. All border crossings remain closed under Israeli orders, and food is currently distributed solely through GHF-operated stations. Now we go back to our guest discussion with Dr. Satoru Nagao. Thank you, Doctor, for staying with us. Why is Hamas demanding the liquidation of a humanitarian foundation in Gaza, and what does this suggest about the internal dynamics or power struggles within the territory?
Delivering the food, providing food is a very important method to get the trust from the people. So that's why Hamas want to control. But for a long time, the Hamas was survived, the support from the United Nations. There is a human-human connection or some, because the United Nations is, of course, neutral, but they are not demanding the regime change. So that's why they are working under Hamas government. Because terrorists are not, mafia, these are not a matter. Anyway, the Hamas control area, the United Nations need to coordinate with the Hamas. Without this, they cannot deliver food. So that's why if the United Nations deliver the food, Hamas can get some certain amount of. But this time, the U.S. NGO takes charge and escorted by the Israel forces. Hamas cannot get the food from that one directly. But so this means that this is not good for Hamas because the legitimacy came to the people or get the popularity from the people, rely on the delivering food, but they cannot control. But a little interesting is this U.S. NGO has started work maybe some months ago, but Hamas hasn't demanded any to cease the operation of this U.S. NGO. And now they start to say they will kill this U.S. NGO. What happened? What is the situation? In this, because of the long siege, Hamas cannot get the food itself through the, so that's why anyway, the Hamas do not have the material. So that's why this U.S. NGO is only source to get the food, I believe. So Hamas disguise, Hamas member disguise looks like just a civilian and try to get the food from the U.S. NGO, and they culminate some stocks for the future, I think. So now they got enough amount of the stock, and start to say, we will not allow you to deliver the food instead of us. Something like that has happened, I guess. The problem is, if the Hamas is real government who care about people under the control of them, U.S. NGO or United Nations or Hamas itself is not a matter. Getting the food is a matter, and delivering food is a matter. So that's why Hamas must not attack any NGO who deliver the food to the people. But Hamas, this time Hamas say they will kill the U.S. NGO who deliver the food. This means that Hamas is not the responsible government for the people in Gaza. They are terrorists. But that is my analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. And how does Hamas's accusation against the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation reflect the complex dynamics of aid distribution inside of Gaza now?
Instead of the Hamas, they deliver the food. Because government, what is the role of the government? Government secures the people, government provides enough material for the people to live. This is the government's role. So that's why any government in the world try to show the effort for the security and for the security of the food delivery or the other material for living. They are delivered. These are the role of the government. Because of these people trust the government. For in case of Hamas, if the Hamas try to be a good government, they need to deliver food to the people. They need to secure the security of the people. These are the role of Hamas. But instead of the Hamas, U.S. NGO came and they delivered the food instead of Hamas. So Hamas' legitimacy was collapsed because the people followed U.S. NGO who delivered food instead of Hamas. That could happen. So that's why, view from Hamas, delivering food NGO is a rival as a government in this region. So that's why they think U.S. NGO is a rival for Hamas, and they try to attack. But until now, they hasn't demand such kind of threat to the intimidation against the U.S. NGO because anyway, they need to get some certain amount of the food, and this U.S. NGO is only source, so that's why the Hamas try to disguise as a civilian, and they try to get the food from the U.S. NGO. Without the stock of the Hamas, there is no stock to deliver the food to the people, so that's why they need to get anyway. So that's why until now, they did not demand such kind of intimidation against the U.S. NGO's activity. And that is the reason, I believe. Thank you.
And thank you. And with all the border crossings now into Gaza closed and aid solely distributed through the GHF, what are the potential consequences for civilian populations there? How might this situation influence international responses?
Of course, this is siege. Of course, this is siege means that for a long time in the history, the siege demand people to surrender. So Hamas still keeps the hostages. Hamas try to keep their activity against Israel. This means that the siege has happened and Israel demand to surrender for the Hamas. So surrender, in this case, Hamas is terrorist, so surrender means that eliminate Hamas, I think. But anyways, this is the siege. So of course, the situation is very serious, I believe. In the long history, there are many sieges has happened, and commonly this was terrible. So it is clear that. So international community should intervene the view from humanitarian assistance. But indeed, this is very difficult, I believe, because humanitarian intervention was very popular in the 1990s in the world, that's true. But there are many problems that happened too. For example, the intervention of the Somalia, intervention in the Yugoslavia. Every time the humanitarian assistance faced one big problem, motivation of the countries. Because the countries, government is take charge of the people's life of their country, not other country. So that's why if the international community try to gather the effort to intervene in something in the other country, in this case, the motivation is very low. So that's why the international community has the power in some cases, that's true, but at the same time, if this intervention is very tough intervention, maybe most countries do not want to do, and the current international system cannot deal with. That is very simple. So local situation should be take charge of the local countries. That is a simple rule. That is situation currently, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. And could you tell us more about it, if any role that Asian nations and regionals or organizations can realistically play in addressing humanitarian crisis in Gaza?
I think if there is a good idea, they have already done. Because there's lack of the idea, they haven't done. That is the current situation. Because if, for example, there are many countries try to intervene and break the siege itself is intervening war itself. For example, the completely different places, completely different seas we are facing, and one army tried to contain the city, and to save the city, to breach this containment. This is intervention, military intervention. So what kind of the motivation is needed? Very strong motivation is needed. This is intervening the war itself. So that's why if international community really want to change the situation by using their military power, it is possible. But without this, it is impossible because this is not their war.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing